Okay. And we're live. Hey everyone, this is episode 352. This is the live version with all the flubs and other problems intact, and then we will edit it for later consumption. Alright, for the podcast, we'll be going out tomorrow. We're doing this as a special time. We've got a special scheduling thing going on, especially this week, but then how many more weeks, Dr. SWTOR, will it probably be?
A while.
Okay.
I haven't calculated that. And
so the next few episodes, it'll probably be at an unusual time, either this time or we could do it like
it'll
even
be
on
at
Fridays
least for
or
a month
whatever.
and a half.
Okay.
No, at least for 2.5 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm taking... I'll cover it in the show. It's probably going to be at least till the end of May that we have to do a different time.
Okay. Alright, sounds good. Alright, it looks like we only have a few seconds here before the top of the hour. We can get going. Drinking my water, staying hydrated. Yeah, this time of year especially, it's like all that, central heat and air. Ugh. Even though it rains a lot where I am, it's inside, it's still dry as a desert. So.
Where are you at?
I'm near Portland, Oregon.
Oh, okay. I'm in SoCal. I'm in California.
Nice. Yeah, I heard you could get some snow.
Well, not where I'm at. I'm like 20 minutes from the beach.
Okay.
Not far enough north.
Yeah, well, I heard there's just this really unusual storm that's going to hit like most of California. Maybe that's a little too far south, but like even like the Bay Area and even south of the Bay Area, they could be getting some snow here anytime.
Oh, wow. Well, that would be pretty amazing.
That would be unusual, yeah, for them.
Yeah, definitely unusual, unless you're a big bear or mammoth or something. But, yeah.
Yeah. And Duck, where exactly are you from?
I'm in the UK.
Right. Whereabouts, though?
I'm near Leeds.
I'm sorry?
I'm near Leeds.
Near Leeds. Oh, okay. That's lovely.
I'm originally from Burnley, which is near Manchester, and then I've moved over near to Leeds.
Nice. Do you like it there?
Yeah, it's pretty alright. I like it.
Well,
It's pretty much been my home for about 3.5 years.
Nice. Is that because of work or family or love or for what?
A combination of all three, I suppose.
Nice. All right. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and get this going. And one of the first things I'll do is I'll go ahead and introduce you guys. I have it on the list as Duck Sauce and then Nami Gal. Does that matter, or is that all good?
Yes.
Okay. Just I didn't know if you had like a special thing in your head, like which way to do it, but that's fine then. All right. Let me close up my other tabs that I don't need. Drink yet more water. And we will get going here. Okay. Going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that is diverting auxiliary power to the rear deflector shield. This is episode 352, being recorded on Thursday, January 17th, 2019. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Dr. SWTOR. Hey, Doc.
Hey, Chill, those shields will save our life.
Absolutely. And I'm happy to say we have 2 new guests today. They're both SWTOR streamers and streamers in general, so I'm very excited to talk to them. We've been having a lot of good interactions on Twitch and over Twitter and some other places too. So we've got Duck Sauce and we've got Nami Gal. So let's start with Duck Sauce. Hey, Duck Sauce, how you doing?
Hey guys, thanks for having us. I'm doing great. How are you?
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself, like about your stream and how you like to play SWTOR.
So I started streaming probably about 6 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And that came about thanks to finally upgrading the last few bits of my desktop rig. I'd previously done a few bits through YouTube and publishing videos that way, but found that streaming was a little bit more suited to myself.
Okay.
So I started streaming SWTOR in the first week of December, and joined in with Nami and with quite a few of the other streamers as well, and we built up quite a very strong, close-knit family community. And Nami was also a big influence and a big support, and one reason why within the space of probably about a month or so I managed to reach the Twitch affiliate program, and that is just playing Star Wars The Old Republic. I do play other games as well, which I'm hoping to stream in the coming months as well, so there's going to be a bit of a variety there. It might even be Counter-Strike, Hearts of Iron, StarCraft. I might even go a bit more retro with the Star Wars games, so I might play Knights of the Old Republic and
Nice.
bring back the old games as well from the KOTOR series. But in SWTOR itself, I have started to grow a bit more of an affection to Warzones and PvP. That was never really my thing years ago. I've been a player of SWTOR since the game launched, and most of the time I used to play a lot more flashpoints and operations. So because I'm an original player from the start of the game, I've still got some of the old Rakata and Colomai gear on my main toon over on
Nice.
Darth Malgus. So some of the old retro stuff still sticks in the game. But I've started growing a little bit more liking into Warzones recently. So I've been hammering that quite a lot as well, and Conquest as well.
That's excellent. All right. And you're from the UK, correct?
Yes, I'm from the north of England.
Nice. And so what time of day do you normally stream?
Because of commitments with myself being a father as well, so by the time I've got the kids in bed and got food and chores sorted out and stuff, usually start probably about 9 o'clock UK time,
Nice.
and tend to stream through till about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. That's excellent.
Dedication.
Okay, excellent. And do you what's the name of your Twitch channel?
So it's twitch.tv/thatducksauce.
Excellent. All right, that's wonderful. And Nami, how about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your stream.
Hi, well, I'm Nami, and I started streaming, I would say consistently since June, second week of June of 2018. And I've been playing SWTOR since January, so actually 2 years now, and it remains my favorite game. I started with League of Legends, migrated to World of Warcraft, and then I came here on suggestion of a good friend of mine that I met in League of Legends. And I've never stopped, and I even had pre-purchased Battle for Azeroth, got a tune to max level, but I didn't even get my second tune to max level, and I was back on SWTOR. And I don't know, I just love the game. I love the community. And I think that really is sometimes what makes the game, right? It's not just the game. It's the people that you meet in the game, especially as a streamer.
Right.
I want to say. So it's a great community. I think, like, when I started streaming, there was a few prominent streamers that I used to watch and still follow. And as far as female streamers, I would say there really was only 3. At that time, it was Hottie, Aquila, and Viria. Those were the 3 female streamers at that time. And now Avi is not streaming as much because of college. And Hottie is streaming, but something else. Took a break for a while. And Aquila is still doing her streaming. So I don't know. I think it kind of inspired me. I know Aquila inspires me every day. She's funny as heck. But yeah, there's a few people that I think inspired me to continue streaming. And it's not really how good you play the game. I know that sometimes too much emphasis is placed on that, especially if you're doing PvP or ranked or whatever it may be. And in my opinion, we're here playing a game that we like. And we're spending whatever minutes of the day doing something that we enjoy doing. And if that means playing a game that maybe is not on the top of the popularity list, well, so be it. I'm having fun. And it's definitely not a game that is dead, as can be seen by. I had a big community streamer event, and it was really just an event that I wanted to get all the streamers, my fellow streamers that wanted to be included and participate. I wanted us to just go out and hang out with one another. Uh, Quite often, you go into a fellow streamer's stream and you're like, "Hi," you go and show support to the stream, and vice versa. But you really don't have time to play with them, right? Because they may be streaming an op, so you really just don't have that kind of personal time, I guess. Team, or you know what I mean, to be on a team. So we did that, and
Hmm.
I was so happy. It was quite a success. We started on Darth Malgus for 2 hours. I then moved over to Satil Sean, and I ended at Starforge. And I just think that this community, definitely if you want to start streaming SWTOR or whatever game you want, I think this is definitely the community to start in. It's a little bit more welcoming, I think, than a lot of the other communities.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I remember when we gave a shout out on the other OotiniCast for that stream, and I hoped to get onto it myself, but my schedule unfortunately wasn't very good for that day. But it looked like you guys were having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I came and raided you because I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, you're
Right towards the
streaming."
end, yeah, because I just
Yeah.
started, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that was a lot of fun too. I remember checking in on yours earlier, like shortly before I got going on mine. It's like, oh, but you were doing like an operation. It's like, oh, I can't really, I can't really jump in on that.
Well, you should.
And I wasn't sure what server you were doing it on either.
We were actually looking for some people on Starforge, and it was so funny because Kid Lee snuck in. And here is the thing: I'm probably the only one who didn't know it was Kid Lee. All I know is I went and announced, "I need 2 people. I need 2 DPS. Anybody want to join in?" And someone whispered me right away, and I'm like, "Good, we got a body." So I invited them to group, and what was their name? It was something Lee, but it didn't even dawn on me at the time.
Right.
And so we got the op going and whatnot, and he was doing some gifted subs in my stream, but I really wasn't paying attention because I was paying attention to the op. So when we had a little break, I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." And then he whispers me and says, "Well, after all, I did sneak in on your op." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm probably the only one who doesn't know this is Kid Lee in my op right now." So it was really nice. It was a good surprise halfway through the op that yes, he had snuck into the op. But yeah, you should have whispered or got
Okay.
in there.
I'll
We
know
would
the
have
next
loved
time.
to have you because I was literally announcing on Fleet because it was coming toward the end of a long stream for me as far as Starforge was the last server
That's
to
excellent.
land on.
And I
But
underst-
yeah,
Yeah.
it worked out really good. I was really excited about it. Got a lot of good feedback.
Right. And I understand you did like a charity stream recently.
I did actually two. Actually, the first one I did, I was contacted by a gentleman who is not a streamer, but a very big supporter of us streamers. What he would do is he would kind of stream snipe us. Whoever
Hmm.
was streaming, he would see if you're on Fleet, and he would go open up trade with you, give you a whole bunch of cartel items, and then he was gone. Poof, gone. And the funny thing is, he had done it. He had sniped me first, so I knew who he was,
Hmm.
just because I do that a lot on my own streams. But it was so great to see all these other streamers that he was doing it to, and they had no clue, zero clue who this person was, but I did. Well, he messaged me. This was like maybe it was after the first year. I can't remember exactly the date, sorry. But he had told me that he had become homeless a week before Christmas. And
wow.
he had come into my stream earlier that day and just quick and said, "Hi, I just want to say hi to everybody and I hope that you have a great weekend." It was on a Friday when I was streaming. And Friday, later on that night, he actually messaged me to apologize why he hasn't been in my stream very much and he can only come in for a little bit. And that's when he told me he was homeless. So I started the very next day. I thought, okay, we got to fix this. I've got to get the community together. So I started streaming the next day earlier, and I got to tell you, within 12 hours, we raised net to him, okay, minus PayPal, right? $1,069.
Wow.
Wow,
He got back into his home. So in 12 hours, so I streamed like that first day for 6 or something like that, and then no, it was probably even less now that I think about it. But then the next day I streamed for like 4 or 5 hours, and then we got him in call, did the transfer on stream. It was just wonderful, and it kind of sparked a collaboration with who I call my partner in crime, which is Infiltration 10. And a lot of streamers, and I'm sure a lot of followers and viewers, know that name. He's spent almost $1,000 gifting subs to everybody and supporting the streams. And I met him earlier 2018, I think it was. He saw my stream, and I told him, come on, join us in PvP. And he's like, no, I've never done a PvP before. And he actually came in and did his very first PvP with me on Sentil Sean. And yeah, he does all kinds of content. He's been playing this game for 5 years. And we decided to collaborate. And what we did was we decided that once a month we were going to pick a recipient to help. Now, we aren't able to do it at the magnitude of what we did for a Rocky, right? Because that's a lot, right? But you know, when someone's homeless, he got kicked out a week before Christmas. So we decided to set a set amount, and we picked our first recipient, which was Crispy Rose, another fellow streamer. And I announced this on Sunday, and last night, boom, we hit the $300 mark, and I transferred the money to her on stream yesterday. So it's such a great feeling. It's not just a great feeling for us. It's a great feeling for the community. They were so happy that whether it's not a monetary thing, what I always say is that if you're here and supporting the stream and supporting the stream for Crispy, you're supporting a whole bunch of people here. Not only me, but also Crispy, and also what we stand for, SWTOR and I. And, you know, that speaks volumes. You don't have to give money. You don't have to feel bad that you can't donate. That's not why we do things. What we do is try to bring the community together to give support. So even if it's a matter of somebody in the stream hearing about Crispy, they could maybe even send her a Discord message. Just say, oh, I'm so sorry. I wish I could help, but if you ever need anything, you know, feel free to contact me. And I think that's what the community needs. And it's definitely something that I've strived to get in place. And again, it's not where SWTOR and I are wanting any special things. We just want to build this community good. Whatever.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. That's it's a beautiful thing. And of course, anytime that you have one that you know is coming up that ahead of time, if you know we're doing a show that week, you know, just shoot me a message so I can include it, you know, in the show. So.
Or even if we're not doing a show, like, just make us aware. We can tweet it out.
We do a lot of tweeting.
Our guild can retweet it. You know, we want to get positive community activities out there.
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, there's so much negativity, you know, toxicity.
Right.
So, yeah, we're the other spectrum. We're the other part. People come into my stream just to feel good. They're like, we're just here for the vibes and the music. So it's kind of but yeah. So I'm having a ball. I'm having a blast. That's what I get out of it. So
that's excellent. And it sounds like you do like pretty much everything in the game at this point, like operations and everything else, or do you focus on operations, or?
I do. Well, I wouldn't say that I heavily focus on it, but yes, I do. Ops. I just healed the 16-man yesterday. So yes, and I'm supposed to heal, I thought, one on Darth Malgus today somewhere, so I don't know. But yeah, I enjoy ops. I I've never done a nim op though, but you know, one day I'll be good enough to do that.
Right. And our healing characters, they tend to be your favorites?
Well, I mean, I will admit I'm an altaholic, despite not wanting to be one. But I have 27 tunes on Starforge, and I have every class on both sides. I got my legendary title after a month and a half of this game. I was just addicted. What I have is like if I have two jugs. One's a tank, one's a DPS. So that's why that's so many tunes. I don't have any that are duplicates, if that makes, you know what I mean? Like I have a scoundrel DPS and a scoundrel healer. I don't respect them.
Okay.
I see.
I don't know. Each tune has their own, you know, that way I remember, okay, I got to go to this person, you know, I don't know.
So whenever there's
straight, I guess.
Right.
I have 27 on just this server on Starforge.
Right. So you can't, at some point you can't max out like all your gear on every character at some point. You just have to kind of pick your battles.
Well, I can tell you right now, I have 18 tunes on Osis right now.
Nice. That's a lot of dailies.
That's serious dedication.
That's a lot of dailies.
Well, when I tell you I love this game, and when people ask me, is it dead? I said, well, do you see me, A, streaming it, and B, I hit the play button this, you know, earlier, and it seemed to be working fine for me. I don't know if it's not working, you know. And also, I do want to say this, too, for you guys, and if you guys come across anybody in your podcast as well, is that once a month also, so we're trying to figure out the first Sunday of every month on our podcast, which is not as elaborate as yours now, basically a stream. We'll call it a pod stream. On the first Sunday of each month is where we pick a recipient, someone who's in need. So if there's anybody that you know that is in need of something, that's going through something, please just, my Discord information is underneath my stream. Contact either Infiltration or myself. I guess myself would be easy enough. And also, I will also say this, on the first Sunday of every month, we also will be donating a 60-day SWTOR sub to somebody who can't afford a sub. And this was kind of sparked to, I've been paying for a lot of people's subs. Just in the month of November, December, well, in 1 month's time, I bought like 10 60-day subs. And I know both Filter and I believe that everybody should be able to play this game without limitations. So, yes, we will be giving away a 60-day sub as well. So if you know anybody, please send them our way, too, as well.
That's excellent. And what is your Twitch channel?
It's Nami Gal, just Nami Gal.
Great.
Spelled.
Easy peasy. Well, yeah, welcome both of you to the show. We'll go through the news here in a little bit, and you can give opinions at that point, too. Right now, though, I'd like to hear from Dr. SWTOR. Doc, what you been up to in game? What's been going on?
I've been up to so much stuff, Chill, and not a lot of it's in SWTOR, but that's a good thing. So we're recording at a new time, and I want to just say to the chat room before we go down and list all of you, thanks everyone for adjusting your schedule to be here at this time, Thursday afternoon, for those in America. And, you know, I really appreciate seeing so many of you when we just kind of on the fly decide we're going to do the podcast today, even though I can't do it at nighttime. So thank you. So I'm teaching another class. They just added it on Monday to my list of classes I'm teaching. Someone could not complete the last month of the course, and so I'm stepping in to save the day because I'm a healer and I guess I do stuff like that in real life too. However, I'm still on my 2 raid teams. My Utini Guild's team is going to be very soon, unfortunately, taking a couple months break, or they could fill my spot if they really want to play without me. Don't do it, guys, but I mean if you want to. Because another class is starting in a couple weeks that I have to teach on that night. And so we're seeing all of the goals that I have. I actually have 2 research projects that I'm actively working on, not ready to collect data yet, but one of them will hopefully involve SWTOR players, or at least MMORPG players. So I'm very excited about that particular study having a video game flair to it. And as far as what I'm doing in-game, still studying up on Veteran Mode Dread Fortress nearly every day, just trying to figure something out that I don't already know so I can heal it better or DPS it better, because I play Sorcerer on both teams and I respec just chronically. Every time I sign in, I'm either lightning or corruption, just based on what needs to happen. I got my first piece of 258 gear, which I know there are people who are fully geared out at this point.
Still,
I'm aware. I'm doing a lot of things, so I feel like that's a huge accomplishment, and just grant me that one excuse. I'll feel better about the rest of my day if I'm allowed to think that way. And I ran the OSIS Weekly on my main this morning, and I hit legendary status. So now I'm allowed to cash in my gear pieces and get the grown-up gear, the 258s, for things like the chest piece and like the more substantial stat-oriented gear pieces. And I have a couple notes. I like to joke like I have a running dialogue with BioWare occasionally on the show, and I just want to say, certainly you're aware, at least one time you've heard me talk about this game, people at BioWare. The weekly event being GCF or GSF, really? Like, good lord. You actually broke my my streak of actively playing the game because I couldn't get a queue to pop for the hour that I was trying, and I was like, well, I guess I'm not getting that Masterwork Data Crystal this week. And I'm sure that if I were playing at 2 in the afternoon or 9 at night or whatever, whenever the fancy regular people play this game, that GSF was working fine. But, and I mean this literally, ugh. Okay, so don't do that anymore. Let's stick with the things people enjoy playing. Now, I'm being facetious. People who love GSF, I think you're all great. This is not personally at you. I don't even know the last time I did a match chill. I mean, have you jumped into GSF in the last 6 months?
No, unfortunately, I have not.
So we're just not the GSF podcast. And that might be a niche market. Anyone who needs a SWTOR podcast to fill a need, consider GSF. You'll get like 7 listeners every week, I'm sure.
I think since GSF started, I've probably only done maybe 1 or 2 matches altogether. And
that's common. I know there's people who do it and love it, and I don't get it. So anyway, I love doing Master Mode Flashpoints. I love doing operations. I don't mind accomplishing conquest. I like, crafting things and even doing weekly missions repetitively. But I couldn't do it. That's the first week since 5.10 came that I just ignored it on all 4 of my Sorcerer Sage tunes on the Sutil Shan server. So that's where we're at, and that's a good summary of what I'm doing, Chill. So want to hear from you, but who do we have in the chat room today?
All right. Yeah, we got a lot of people here. Let's see, 24 fan lovers here, Apricot, Root Fruit, Asana97, Blay is here as Blacklock Gaming, Brittany's GMO, she's been in my stream a lot, she's very nice. Commander Root, Dekion, so Dek is here, Delegate, let's see, I'm Corndad, JC, Dad and Hubby, Jwinga, JSMLD, Nami is here, Nami Gal, Nimi, Positivity Bot, Sir Galahard, Skinny Seahorse, Low Cool, Sludgester, Squishy Twitchy, SWTOR John, Tank Mike Golf, Duck Sauce is here as That Duck Sauce. Thanks, man. TPM 1990. I don't know how you pronounce that. Tsukat, something like that. Twin Suns 916. I think it's kind of amusing that way. VNK, Virgo Pros, and Marcus is here as Working Class Nerds 17. Hey, everyone. All right. I decided to do something I've never done before and level up a character without doing any damage directly. What? So, yep. So I did a scoundrel healer from 1 to now 63 without doing a single point of damage. I have my companion do all of the damage. That also gave me an excuse to actually use my Gamorrean Guard contract, because it was very hard to get, and so I held on to it for over a year now, because I just, I was like, oh, what should I use it on? And also I do a lot of, I'm very much an alcoholic, so it's like, oh, I don't want to put it on someone and then never see it again or whatever. So this was a good excuse to bring out the Gamorrean Guard, give him a try, see what he's like. And he's actually pretty awesome. He's pretty easy to level up, because he likes both weapons and underworld goods very, very well, so that he has 2 at the maximum level, so that's very handy. And yeah, I just took all the damage abilities off my bar. There's only 3 things I can do to an enemy. One is that white stun grenade, one is the interrupt, and then if it's before a fight, I can tranquilize. And that's it. Other than that, the Gamorrean, who I have affectionately nicknamed Gammy, Gammy does all the damage. Keep him in damage spec, because obviously the healing spec's not going to work, and you look at the tank spec, but it doesn't do very much damage really compared to the damage spec, and I don't really need it. Yeah, I get some healing threat on me too, but I'm still healing, so yeah, I haven't died on this character yet. It's actually pretty easy, relatively fast compared to what I thought it would be. I thought the fights would take forever. As it turns out, though, if you give them a good amount of levels and you have a solid amount of presence on your character, it's actually reasonably okay. It's kind of fun to do. So yeah, I just took all the damage abilities off my bar, and I made sure not to blow up any of the explosive casks or anything that are around. And yeah, so I've managed to get to 63 without doing any damage. If you do something like this, presence is very important, but you get a lot from the permanent bonuses from your datacrons, and from the presence bonus you get from doing the class stories, from finishing the class stories. Unfortunately, the temporary bonuses in the game, which I definitely tried, are okay, but don't really give you that much. It's basically command stims, and there's some drinks that you can get from the cantinas that will also boost your presence. But if you look at the damage that goes up on your on your companion, it's really not that much for that. I have a high base presence, and then these little bit of extra presence that I'm getting from those drinks and those stims aren't doing all that much. I keep them up, but it's not really all that great. So it's been an interesting experiment. Never done anything like that before, and it's also given me kind of a better insight on scoundrel healing, because I've done a lot of healing in the game anyway, and especially haven't done scoundrel healing for like a long time. So it was interesting to see like exactly how it worked and how it came together. And normally, even if I'm leveling someone I'm planning on healing, I won't actually level them as healing, because it does take longer. So this kind of forced me to slow down. It was actually an interesting way to do it, because I found that like if I was trying to do a healing spec, which I have tried leveling in healing spec before, but doing damage at the same time, the fact that I'm doing so little damage kind of makes me frustrated. But because I'm doing no damage and I just have to wait for the companion to do everything, it actually lets me kind of mellow out and just kind of let things happen. So I just focus on the healing, watch it happen, and then it happens when it happens. And yeah, it turns out he does okay. He does pretty good damage. So yeah, I've seen a lot of people get whacked on by Gamorrean axes the last 2 weeks or so. Yeah. And it's been a lot of fun. I do plan on getting her up to 70, though I'm not sure exactly what my plans are for, if anything, after that. But I've been enjoying it. Yeah. You had a question, Doc?
Well, you answered my questions immediately, which is really great. Like, I was going to ask, what does the Gamorrean Guard appreciate in terms of the gifts and your healing, right? So you still have an active role to play, just you're not doing a single tick of damage of any kind. So those moves are not even on your bar.
Yep. I took them off the bar so I wouldn't accidentally use them.
Okay. That's so unique. Like, when I saw on Twitter that you were doing this, I even had to ask a couple questions, because I've never been sitting there looking at this game like I need to play it like Last Jedi Luke Skywalker. No damage, and I'm not even really there.
Right. Yeah, and
Spoilers.
Gammy is up to level 30. I've given him a number of gifts. I haven't gotten him to 50, but I got him to 30, which is, a little more reasonable. And it definitely helps. I mean, he does get a little bit more damage every level, and one level you're not so much going to notice, but 1 versus 30 is definitely a solid amount of extra damage. So.
Yeah. Also, those, if you're going to do something unique like this, I've seen on Twitter sort of an upswing of people doing the if your character dies, we delete it kind of thing. I've never done that either. But if you're going to do that, maybe do some tunes, have a Imp tune and a Republic tune, and go find the Datacrons, because there's so many beneficial reasons to find the Datacrons. It's a fun part of the game. Some of them are a time sink, but you only have to do it once now. So,
right.
It's right. Just a fun way to climb things that you have no business climbing. And it's fun.
And kind of low-key, it kind of let me know exactly how much damage my companions are doing. Because I'm literally not seeing like a massive slowdown in my fighting. So it's like, wow, my companion while I'm leveling is really doing a serious amount of damage, like a lot of damage. And and if I'm a damage spec, it feels good, but a lot of that damage is being done by the companion, and you don't notice it so much.
Do you actually spend more time sending the companion specifically to attack things in a certain order now that you're playing this way?
Yeah, well, what I did is I've always in this game had 2 sort of unusual keybinds, but it's the same on every character, so it's very easy for me to remember what they are. One to put them on passive, and one to tell them to attack, which makes them attack whatever target you've got. And I still use that for Gammy, but what I've also done in this case is I have one of his abilities. It's actually the long-range dot, because I could have done the main nuke, which is also his jumping ability. It's a 30-meter jump, but this one is 30 meters, but it's the dot. And it's a little bit longer cooldown, but I tried it both ways before I set the keybind, and then I decided, okay, let's just do it as the dot. And so if I'm starting the fight, then I usually have it with that keybind, so he actually starts it with the dot, and then he almost immediately jumps in with his long range jump plus ability, and then what normally happens after that is he uses his AoE. So so to sort of speed things up, I have him attack, and I'm not doing a lot of stealth because I could stealth past these fights, and I do some of that, but mostly I've been just running through the fights and just having Gammy just attack everyone. Because he doesn't have a ton of AoE, and because I'm going to be getting healing aggro, I usually send him to attack whoever is close enough that he's likely to hit someone nearby him with his AoE, because it's a very small radius AoE. It's like a 4 or 5 meter radius around the target AoE, so it's very small. It often misses where I think it should hit, but it's and it's unfortunately his AoE ability is on quite a long cooldown, almost 20 seconds.
Wow.
So it's I'm definitely getting a lot of healing aggro in these fights, which is okay, because that way I'm also practicing healing 2 people instead of just spam healing on Gammy all the time.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. I never do anything unique when I'm creating a character. I just play.
Well, it has been fun, and as it turns out, the Gamorrean Guard, you can't do a helmet, but you can do all the other gear, so you can actually change his look. So I have him in the Rishi pirate look right now, which is pretty fun. So he has it's a Gamorrean with this giant cape flowing behind him. It's pretty sweet.
That's fun. I don't have one. Just people probably aren't surprised, but never spent significant time playing the gambling event.
Right. Okay. Well, we should keep on going here. We've got that does bring us to the tip of the week. There, I did not send out a request. We don't have any tips this week, so I'll just remind everyone, if you have a tip of the week, please send it in, OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show, and you'll get a chance to win either a Tonfon or M83R Droid pet code, courtesy of BioWare, and an OotiniCast-provided Cartel Market pack from the latest shipment. Since we're a little low on time, this is actually okay with me this time. But yeah, that'll bring us to the Jedi Mind Trap. Doc?
All right, so I'm really excited about this question. I didn't know that I was going to be when I came up with it. It was more me just trying to figure out, how is this game working, and why is it treating me the way that it's treating me? So I was just thinking to myself, I've griped about the way gear drops from ops bosses repeatedly on this show, thinking that the gear number doesn't seem to match the idea that you just beat this boss and this gear is preparing you to go to the next level of bosses.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of believe that it's more like, here is the gear that you need to have in order to beat the boss that you just defeated. And so then the question becomes, should that congratulations of the gear dropping be more in line with, here's what you need to keep going? Or should it be, here is a thing that represents the level you are on right now? So I just put out there, do successful veteran mode ops groups succeed when all 8 people in the group are maximum 242 gear, no 246s, no 248s, certainly no 252s or 58s. So just, we're saying 242 because BioWare says that is the veteran mode boss level of gear, and that is all we are going to use. Would such a group be successful on raids beyond Karaga's Palace and Eternity Vault? And I just wanted to have a conversation about this, and there were a lot of really cool ideas that spiraled out of this one question. And so I just, before we start talking about percentages and the offshoot topics, I want to bring this to our guest for today. So what do you think about your gear level and how it helps you to play the game? Or, maybe as an obstacle to how you play the game if you're not so happy with where we're at. But let's assume you are. So, what do you think about the state of gearing up in SWTOR in the 5.0 era, and then, we have a 5.10 era that's kind of expanded it a little bit?
Well, at the moment for myself, the bulk of my characters are over on Darth Malgus, so I've recently set up a handful of characters over on Starforge, and I'm working my way up with those at the moment. So, for me, when I look at some of the operations, I think maybe at 242 you'd be reliant on the whole ops group being at that standard, but then you're reliant on them knowing what they're doing with the buffs, knowing what they're doing with the disrupts, making sure that they've got their stims and adrenals all working properly. But maybe it could be a bit more of a challenge and look at how the rewards are distributed out appropriately.
Okay.
I think I think that needs looking at a little bit more in detail there, rather than just relying on a roll and selecting the option of need or greed or pass, looking at overall what the specs are and what the stats are for those individual people that are in the group and that are doing the role, and look at, right, who actually needs that particular piece of gear.
Yeah, so that's more up to the collective philosophy of the group, or at least the raid leader, to everyone's on the same page. We're fighting this boss because our third DPS needs their gloves. And so if you get everyone to buy in that we're doing this boss fight so we can get gloves for this player, then it's a lot more useful than if it's just random and you're putting in all this work and you don't get what you need and you get what you don't need.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about for you, Nami? Do you have any perspective on where gearing is at in the 5.10 era of SWTOR?
Well, I gotta say, I think that gear does, I guess to some extent, make a difference, but I gotta tell you, I heal ops on Darth Malgus on a tune that's 236 something, just above 230. I don't even know if it's 236. And I do fine on the heels. Like, I don't have a problem. Now, I think what does happen, what I think is very important is that if you are running an ops, whoever's the op leader, surely, yes, what we do in our ops is if someone needs it, you need the gear, just need on it. And then it just rolls to whoever needs it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that it is, if you have a good raid leader, honestly, you can get through it. It doesn't matter the gear. I can tell you this, you could put me in full 258 gear right now and fully ogged and the best gear you can ever, whatever, and someone is going to outperform me that is in 230s. And it's probably because I don't know how to play my class like efficiently, right? The best way that I can. So I think that some gear does play a small portion in it, but I really do think knowing your class and knowing your DCDs and etc. is what's really going to help. If you know your class, you know instantly what you're supposed to do. There is no thinking, oh crap, what do I have to do now?
Yeah.
And you get bolstered. Like in PvP, you get bolstered. So, I mean, it really doesn't matter what you have. Now, I would assume going into ranked, that's a total different story.
Right.
That's in an arena format. I really love arena formats. I wish I was better at ranked. But yeah, to me, I don't think gear really matters. And I think if you're going to get involved in an ops group, definitely get connected with the community. It's really hard to go in a pug group if you've never done a particular op because people are going to shortcut things. You might never have gone through the entire op without shortcuts. If you know what I mean? So then
Yeah.
if you end up doing the same op on another day and you don't have someone who can stealth in, for example, like on EV, then they're like, okay, what do we do here? Oh my gosh, because they just never experienced it. They've done it before, the op before, but they haven't done the full op.
Right. That's a good point. And every group does it differently. Like I said at the beginning, I'm in 2 different veteran mode learning groups right now, and we're doing the same op. So I get to see different ways to do Nephra, just the very first part of Dread Fortress. The tanks in my 2 groups have different preferences for where to hold Nephra, which changes the angles that the exploding droid has to run through when it lands in the back of the group and runs to the front. So you just you see these different ways of playing, and when you have a pug group, you have potentially 8 different mindsets on how we're going to accomplish this thing, and so it can be very chaotic. Bolster makes story mode for ops really easy if you understand your class. Anyway, with the question, some of the extra conversations that spiraled out of this is that DPS probably benefit the most from improving their gear, whereas tanks and healers not so much. And that's something I have never thought about as a person who primarily heals operations, is I put all this extra time to get my augments right and look at the stats and look at, is my power as high as it should be? Do I have the right balance of crit versus alacrity? And after doing this question, I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess my DPS need to be doing that for our group, but it doesn't really matter what I do. And so that's kind of where my mindset's at, is like, am I even playing this game the way it's intended? Or is it just the idea that the best thing out there is available and I don't have it yet, and so I'm going to play in a way to get it, even though my idea of what that best thing is going to do for me is not actually accurate. And so that's another concept, is maybe our whole community misunderstands the importance of gear versus the importance of understanding your class, or knowing the fight is actually, like, if you have 230 gear and you know the fight, you have a better chance of winning than having 258 gear and having no clue what explodes and what casts a debuff, and when to cleanse yourself, and when to stand behind the pillar, and when to go and attack the backside of the boss. there's just so many different things we do in the course of one boss fight, and gear actually doesn't seem to be as important as I thought it was 72 hours ago. So, just I put in the show notes for anyone who wants to check those out, I put a bar graph of my own personal motivations for playing. And as you'll see, my top 2 motivations for playing, according to the measurement for MMORPG motivation that I used in my dissertation, my top 2 motivation play areas are advancing and mechanics. And I included a chart that explains in research what these 10 categories are. And just wanted to highlight that mechanics, we call that just the things that a boss does during the fight, or the method of moving through the fight and succeeding and doing things correctly. And so as players of the MMO, when I say mechanics, that might be what you hear. But as a researcher, when I say mechanics, it's as a motivation, it's having an interest in analyzing the underlying rules and systems in order to optimize character performance. So some people will call that min-maxing or other things like that, or having your spreadsheet that says what the right minimum number for this stat for this character at this level of play should be. That is mechanics. It's the study of the game and understanding how the numbers work and how the crits work, and your accuracy, and also where to stand and not get hit by this stupid blast of laser bolts coming across the screen too. That is a mechanic. But I'm talking more about the study of the numerical system that decides whether you were successful or a failure while playing the game. And that's what our whole conversation today was about. It was a really neat thread. It's what's currently pinned on my Twitter profile. So, Chill, after me giving that whole perspective, what do you think about gearing for you and the kinds of play you do, and also in terms of what you've seen in the operations and maybe master mode flashpoints and other content that really is designed to punish people for
right,
not getting there?
Yeah, well, when I was doing operations regularly, which was back in Shadow of Revan, I definitely felt like the gear that was dropping was sort of getting ready to get me to the next sort of level of boss and that sort of thing. I think they did a reasonably good job with that, but it was with the understanding that we were doing an actual operation group with the same people week after week, and all on comms, no pugs. We all knew each other. We knew each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we were we're all on our same characters all the time, that sort of thing. Given that, then then I would presume that 242 would be about right for now. But in my case, since I've been dinking around with so many alts and leveling and all this other stuff that I find fun, if I was going to get into a group that was going to do nightmare mode, I would probably have a hard time early on in 242 gear, and then eventually I could probably get there. But until then, I would probably help me if I had a little higher gear than that. But I think that if I was on a serious group, 242 would probably be fine.
Okay. Yeah, I was surprised. 40%, 43% of the 97 votes doesn't agree with that, Chill. And I was surprised that number was lower than 50%. But the majority of people who play this game believe what we've been told and assured by the people who designed level sync and decided what gear drops where, that 242 is good enough. So my skepticism was put in check by the Mind Trap this week. So
very nice.
Let's go about our business and move along.
All right. We're a little low on time, but we do have a little bit of news to go through. This is the Holo feed. A couple things that happened sort of shortly after the last show. One was the empty server list. This was back on January 7th. There was basically a time when it was really hard to get a server selection, and I even took a screenshot of what I saw, which is basically select server and nothing in it. And that was happening throughout the game pretty much. It seemed like almost everyone was having that issue, and it happened for several hours before they figured out what was going on, and then all of a sudden everyone was able to get back in the game. Shortly after that, there was a sort of a missing cartel coins sub and code redemption issue that Musco talked about. And he wrote, some of you may have noticed if you purchased the Cartel Coin subs or redeemed a code since maintenance this morning, this would have been back on 1.8 again. You may not have received what you're supposed to. And then they worked on that. And basically, he later indicated that they'd solved it as best they can, but if there was something still outstanding, that you should contact support to get it resolved. We now have a new version of the patch notes. This is 5.10.1 is going to be coming in February, but we now have 5.10, and it's not too many big notes. It's kind of some bug fixes. Some of the decos that weren't showing their appearance, they had the text "missing Granny," and so now those decorations are actually showing. Let's see, Galactic Headhunters have been successful in restoring a number of male head options which were not showing up as intended. Yeah, I even did a joke tweet about that at the beginning of one of my streams when I think it was 24 who pointed out, I believe it was 24, who pointed out that Ratataki head 24 or 20, I'm getting 20 and 24 mixed up. Anyway, one of the Ratataki heads was missing, so I went to the character creation and fake made one and took a screenshot, and it was pretty amusing. And apparently it was like that in game too. So if you had a missing head, you'd have a missing head in game, which is kind of disturbing. Players who acquire Paxton Rawl will no longer see Darth Hexed become unsummonable. And yeah, but however, if you were already in this state where it was happening like this, that will be resolved in 5.10.1. So that's coming in February. To prevent exploitive behavior, the treasure chest has been removed from Udbanar's cave and the ancient ruins on Ossus. Not sure what the exploitive behavior was, but it's gone. Corrected an issue where in rare circumstances players would score every time they picked up the hut ball.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a quick game, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a different game entirely if you think about it.
Yep.
It's like how the XFL games used to start, where you just run for the ball. If anyone remembers that.
Yep. So they did mention that there are some bugs that they have not been able to resolve that are that they do consider very important, that they're working on and are scheduling to be resolved in 5.10.1 in February. A couple of examples are set bonuses not stacking properly and companions still being in odd states following a 5.10. There's also on the PTS still the Queen operation is being tested. It's a single boss, and there's some posts by Musco for some updates and bug fixes and stuff, but they're really only of interest if you're on the test server. Otherwise, it's just kind of a spoiler for the fight, so I'm not going to include them here, but you can easily find them on the dev tracker section of the forums at SWTOR.com if you're going to be doing testing. It does look it just when I read over the list, it looks like there's some interesting mechanics there. And to our guests, Duck Sauce and Nami Gal, do either of you do test server stuff?
No, not yet, but that's something that I'd like to do in the future.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Nami?
No, I'm not. I'm not doing it. I've been asked to. I don't know. It takes so long to download, I think.
That's true.
I started downloading. It was like 2.5 hours or something still through, and it still was like at 50%. And I'm in LA area, so I know I have great internet speed. And I was like, I don't know if the last 50 was going to speed up quick or what. And I said, no, I want to play Star Wars. Forget this. Cancel. So I guess one of these days I should download the PTS. But
nice.
I don't know.
Yep.
Do you guys play on it?
I have not for some time. I've been on it a few times in the past, but I found that my temperament just isn't very suited to it. So I haven't been very effective when I've been on it. It's always interesting, but it's just not something that has worked out very well for me in the past.
The last time I jumped in was helping test out how the Isaacs fight works, and I haven't jumped back in since.
Nice. One bit of general Star Wars news that I thought was interesting. Episode 9 is wrapping up its principal cinematography, And John Boyega, who plays Finn, Instagrammed a picture of his hands looking both dirty and a little bloody. And there was no indication of how much of this was makeup or other movie magic, or if this was simply physical, part of the acting. But the caption of the image reads, "The whole team pushed themselves today to achieve something visually crazy. I've had many moments of shock on set, but not like today, and I can't wait until you know why." And yeah, there you go. And then I have the picture in the show notes, but you can also find it on Instagram. Just look up Boyega, and I'm sure you'll find it real quick. So yeah, very interesting little teasery. Maybe he's gonna pick up Mark Hamill's gauntlet. Mark Hamill's famous for doing all kinds of various sort of semi-spoilers and fake spoilers and all sorts of other things. So maybe Boyega will be taking that up for us.
That's quite a lot of work, Chill. I don't know why you'd wish that on him. That poor man. I want to add one thing, Chill. This is a tweet from Magic Ace that I saw last week.
Okay.
That she was just letting everyone know that the first Nightmare Isaacs kill was made by Group Emerald in the guild Failure. So, congrats to them. I don't know anyone in that group, but I saw that tweet, and as someone who enjoys operations above everything, I'm just really happy to hear that it's possible. So, thanks for giving us all hope, everyone, in that group.
Nice. We're really low on time, but I do want to mention that we did get really good Twitter for the force feedback. We have Michael on Twitter, Grigori316. He wrote, "Found this hiding on my PC. It's a screenshot of your stats with all the datacrons and without all the datacrons, but this would be pre 5.10, so it doesn't include OSIS. And it gives you an idea of the difference they make to your tune. And you can do this yourself if you have like a brand new slot on a server where you've like got all the datacrons, and then you can go to another server where you have no legacy at all and just make another one, and you can sort of see the same numbers, but they're right here. So a level 1 Jedi Knight, the mastery jumps from 54 to 252, endurance from 49 to 106, and presence from 49 to 347. So quite a difference there. And of course, that's legacy wide. So as soon as you do one, it's on all your tunes on that server permanently. All right. Well, then let's see. That's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Castile Shan server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for us all on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live, usually bi-weekly on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room. And thank you to Duck Sauce and to Nami Gal.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
And we'll see you next show. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry we had to cut it off towards the end, but both Doc and I really have to get going on our things. You guys have a good one, and we will see you soon. All right, so I'm going to stop the stream, but keep Audacity rolling. I'm going to stop also the Hangout broadcast. That's